You're listening to NBC Sports Radio. And if you've got something to say, send an email to askthepros@NBCSportsRadio.com and get connected. We are NBC Sports Radio, and our game never stops.
Kate Delaney, NBC Sports Radio, NBCSportsRadio.com. Talking about a ton of things today, including Brett Favre and the magical mystery tour back to Lambeau. 67,000 strong paid to see him. Now that's something to hear that kind of applause. Coming up, he's in our virtual green room. We're going to talk with John Register. He is an inspired speaker, no doubt. He's in Washington, D.C., as I am as well, for the National Speakers Convention. This guy has an unbelievable story. What an athlete. He was an incredible All-American long jumper, hurdler, you name it. And what a specialist, just a born athlete. And then an accident sent him in a much different direction. And we'll talk about that with John in just a moment. But let's do floors that impress for less. The Home Depot has quality tile and other flooring, all at guaranteed low prices, and you don't have to worry about the installation. The Home Depot offers start-to-finish installation by trained, experienced flooring professionals who'll get the job done right. Yep. Visit homedepot.com/so-easy. Flooring for details. More saving, more doing. All right, as I said, John Register joins us now. He's in that plush green room we've set up for him. Just kidding. Hey, John, thanks so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
I'm looking for the green room, Kate. Where is it?
Don't worry. We'll send someone down to get you in case you're lost. We got you, though, so it's okay. I said that your story's incredible, the things that you've accomplished, and I just barely scratched the surface, but you were at the University of Arkansas, and you were a stud. I mean, you were a four-timer All-American, a long jumper, hurdler, a 4x40-meter relay specialist. You were the guy. You qualified for the Olympic trials, etc. And then you suffer an injury. Tell us about that injury and what happened and how you got through and ultimately how you came out the other side.
Yeah, sure. I was on my way, 8th fastest hurdler in the country, 400-meter hurdles, one time around the track, 10 barriers, 400 meters. And I was just finished up my first race underneath 50 seconds, and that's kind of a magical mark for us 400-meter hurdlers. And I was training with the United States Army's world-class athlete program in Hays, Kansas. And I went across the third hurdle in a training session, and I landed wrong and snapped my knee, leg went backwards. I fell down the ground, and I went from world-class hurdler to dislocated knee, hyperextension of the knee, which caused a severing of the popliteal artery behind the kneecap. It took 90 minutes for the ambulance to get on the track to get me into the back of the ambulance and get me to medical attention. And when they snapped my leg back in place, the doctors discovered that there was still no blood flow going to the lower portion of my leg. So I was medevac to Wichita, Kansas, and went underneath an 11-hour vein graft operation, which just didn't work adequately enough. And great doctor, brilliant guy by the name of Dr. Randy Mullins came into my hospital room, and my wife was on one side holding my hand, my mother and father on the other side of the bed, and they're looking, and Dr. Randy Mullins says, you have a choice. We've got most of your wound cleaned out, but you're going to be left with a fused knee. About 10% of it will be able to bend, or you can take an amputation and walk on a prosthesis and be a little bit more mobile. I mean, what kind of a choice is that for a guy that's, like you said, has been four-time All-American, twice the Olympic trials, on his way to the Olympic Games, 8th fastest in the country. And so you got a choice between not walking and not really walking. And so from that standpoint, I really went into this kind of downward spin. And just real quick, when I woke up from the amputation, I was so in so much pain, and my male deductive reasoning was prior to the amputation, if I just get rid of this leg, the pain will be gone. But no, it was even more profound when I had the amputation. I was so weak, I couldn't even get the nurse's call station to come over and give me something to knock me out. And all I could do was just stare at this little black and white clock with a second hand on the wall. And it was like my life was just ticking away as I watched this clock. Wow. And when Randy Mullins comes in the room, Dr. Mullins, he takes one look at me, calls my wife Alice, gets me in there, gets her in there, and it takes 45 minutes to get me from the bed into the wheelchair, and then the wheelchair outside to a park where my wife is playing on the swing set with my son, a 5-year-old boy at that point, John Jr. And I lost it. I just started bawling. I started crying. I just started weeping because I had been this world-class athlete, and now my Olympic dream was over. But more than that, the last thing I remember was my wife's hand slipping away from mine in the hospital room, my father and mother going to separate corners of the room. How are they going to view me now that I am different, that I am impaired, that I have this disability, quote unquote? And my wife sees me struggling with that, and she runs over to me and she says, "What's going on, babe?" And I begin to articulate all those things I was thinking about the night before. And she says the words to me that just stopped my downward spiral. And she says, "You know what, John? We are going to get through this together. It's just our new normal. It's just our new normal."
Wow. Wow, that is a powerful story. That is a powerful story. We don't have a lot of time, so I want to make sure we get to this. Yep. We have like a minute for you to tell us about the Paralympics. Tell us what happened there. How many medals did you win? How far did you go? All that.
So we have to always get up and hurdle our adversities, and that's what I speak on now. And so what I did was I started swimming for physical therapy, actually freaked up somehow and made the Paralympic swim team.
Woo-hoo!
Paralympic Games, unlike Special Olympics, are athletes with physical disabilities and visual impairments. Special Olympics is a whole different ball game. So there's the parallel games to the Olympics. So in swimming, I saw athletes running on the track with artificial limbs, and then later on, I had a leg made for running, and then jumped into the history books, capturing the American record in the long jump and the silver medal in Sydney, Australia in 2000. And now I've built a military program with the United States Olympic Committee's Paralympic Military Division to use sports as a tool to help other servicemen and women who have been injured to overcome their adversity by the use of sport.
I love it, and you speak about all that, too, as well. You can check out johnregister.com. John, we'll have you back on again. You were absolutely terrific and inspirational.
Awesome.
I love it. Thanks, John. That was great.
Thanks a lot.
So see that? He's here what John's saying. I mean, can you imagine? He really gave us great details on what it was like in that hospital room. And then he goes forward and becomes this incredible athlete still. And now he's passing that on to a lot of the service folks, the servicemen and women, and giving them a chance at something different so that you don't